Elena Brooks stood at the entrance of the tour office, her fingers tightening around the strap of her shoulder bag. It was her first day as a summer tour guide in New York City, and despite how much she had changed over the years, a familiar nervousness settled in her chest. The kind she hadn't felt in a long time. Back in high school, she had been painfully shy. The kind of girl who sat at the back of the classroom, hoping no one would notice her. With oversized glasses, braces, and a wardrobe that never quite fit in, she had been an easy target. Maddie Sinclair and her group had made sure of that. It wasn't just teasing, it was constant. The whispers, the laughter behind her back, the feeling of never quite being enough. They had called her names, mocked her quiet nature, and made her feel invisible when they weren't making her the center of their cruel jokes. But that was in the past. That was in the UK. Now she was in the US, studying at one of the best colleges in the country. When she got the opportunity to study abroad, she took it without hesitation. It was her chance to start fresh, to leave the old version of herself behind. And she had. No more braces, no more glasses. She wore contact lenses now, and her brown hair, once always tied up, fell in soft waves around her shoulders. She had worked on herself, not just on the outside, but on the inside too. Books on confidence, self-improvement, and resilience had become her guide, helping her rebuild the parts of herself that years of bullying had shattered. Still, as she stood there waiting for her first tour to begin, that old doubt crept in. Would she be good at this? Would people listen to her, take her seriously? Or would she always feel like that timid girl who never spoke up? Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out and smiled. It was from Maya, her best friend from college. "First day on the job. You got this, Elena. Call me later to tell me how it goes. Proud of you," Maya wrote in the text. Elena exhaled and tucked the phone back in her pocket. Maya had always believed in her, even when Elena struggled to believe in herself. She wasn't that girl from high school anymore. This was her new life, and she was ready for it. A voice called out her name, pulling her from her thoughts. It was time for the first tour. With one last deep breath, she stepped forward, ready to embrace this new chapter of her life. Elena adjusted the mic clip to her shirt, scanning the small group of tourists gathered around her. Her heart pounded slightly, but she kept her expression calm. This was her first official tour, and she was determined to make it a good one. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's walking tour of historic New York City. My name is Elena, and I'll be your guide, Elena said with her voice a bit shaky. The group responded with polite nods and smiles. There were about 12 of them. Some older couples, a few solo travelers, and a pair of friends snapping selfies. Among them, one person caught her attention, a tall man with striking blue eyes and an easy confidence. He was dressed casually in a plain white t-shirt and jeans. Pushing the thought aside, she launched into her tour. At first, she stuck closely to her script, pointing out key landmarks and sharing historical facts. But as they moved through the city, her confidence grew. She made eye contact, engaged with the group, and even threw in a joke or two. The nervous energy that had tightened her chest earlier slowly melted away. When they reached the halfway point, she paused under the shade of a tree and turned to the group. "Does anyone have any questions so far?" The tall man raised his hand. "Yeah, what's your favorite spot in the city?" The question surprised her. Most people asked about historical events or restaurant recommendations. She hesitated for a moment, then answered honestly. "There's a little bookstore in Greenwich Village. It's tucked away from the busy streets, and it feels like stepping into a different world," Elena said with a smirk on her face. A small smile played on his lips. "Sounds like my kind of place," Elena nodded, brushing off the slight warmth that crept into her cheeks. She continued the tour, leading the group through winding streets and bustling avenues. By the time they reached the end, she felt a sense of accomplishment settle over her. "Thank you all for joining the tour today. I hope you enjoyed it," Elena said with a sense of accomplishment. As the group dispersed, some people thanked her personally, and a few dropped tips into the small collection box. The tall man lingered behind, waiting until the crowd thinned out before stepping forward. "Great job, Elena. First day?" he said with a smile. She blinked in surprise. "How did you know?" Elena said. He chuckled. "Just a guess. You seemed a little nervous at first, but you found your rhythm." She smiled, feeling an unexpected warmth at his words. "Thanks, I appreciate that." "I'm Nathaniel, by the way," he said, extending his hand. She shook it, unaware that this simple introduction would mark the beginning of something much bigger than just a summer job. The next afternoon, Elena stepped into her favorite bookstore in Greenwich Village, the one she had mentioned during the tour. She loved the scent of old pages and the quiet hum of people lost in their own literary worlds. As she ran her fingers along the spines of books, she heard a familiar voice behind her. "Taking your own recommendation, I see." She turned to find Nathaniel standing there, a book in his hand and that easy smile on his lips. She blinked in surprise. "You actually came," Elena said. He chuckled. "You made it sound too good to ignore." They fell into conversation naturally, discussing their favorite books and childhood reads. Elena found herself at ease with him in a way that felt rare. After browsing for a while, they grabbed coffee at a small cafe nearby. Their conversation flowed, filled with laughter and curiosity about each other's lives. She learned that he loved traveling and photography. "I try to visit a new place every year. There's something exciting about exploring different cultures," Nathaniel said. "That sounds amazing," Elena admitted. "I've always wanted to travel more." "Well, if you ever need a travel buddy, let me know," he teased, making her laugh. Over the next few days, Nathaniel joined more of her tours. Whether intentional or not, Elena didn't know, but she found that she didn't mind. They walked through city streets, exchanged stories, and even discovered small diners tucked away in corners of the city. One evening, as they sat on a park bench watching the sunset, Nathaniel mentioned his family. "I have a younger sister back home," he said. "She's a handful, but family is family." Elena smiled, but something about the way he spoke made a strange feeling settle in her stomach. A memory tugged at her mind, something just out of reach. She brushed it off, not wanting to overthink things. Over the next few weeks, Elena and Nathaniel continued to grow closer. They met for coffee after her tours, explored hidden gems of the city, and talked about everything from their childhood dreams to their favorite comfort foods. There was an ease between them, something natural and unforced. This made Elena feel seen. One afternoon, they sat by the river, watching the boats glide across the water. Nathaniel was scrolling through his phone when he chuckled and turned the screen toward her. "Look at this. My sister sent me another ridiculous outfit she bought for her dog," Nathaniel said, shifting his phone towards her. Elena smiled as she glanced at the picture. A tiny fluffy dog wearing a designer dress stared back at her. But as she looked closer, something in her stomach twisted. The name above the message read Maddie. Elena felt a chill rush down her spine. It couldn't be, could it? "Your sister's name is Maddie?" she asked, keeping her voice as steady as possible. "Yeah, Maddie Sinclair. She's a bit much sometimes, but she means well." Nathaniel smirked, shaking his head. "You'd think she was preparing that dog for a fashion runway." Elena's world tilted slightly. Maddie Sinclair. The same Maddie who had made her high school years miserable. The girl who had laughed at her, whispered about her, and made sure she never felt like she belonged. She forced herself to breathe evenly, nodding as if nothing was wrong. "She sounds lively." Nathaniel laughed. "That's one way to put it. You know, she actually studied in the UK for a while." Elena gripped the edge of the bench. "Really?" Yeah, she went to some private high school there. Said she had a lot of fun memories. Fun memories. The words made Elena's throat tighten. Maddie's fun had been her nightmare. And now, here she was, sitting beside her older brother, the man she had unknowingly grown close to. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. This was a lot to take in, but she wasn't the same girl Maddie had tormented. She had grown, built her confidence, and learned to stand firm. Maddie's past actions wouldn't control her emotions now. Elena? Nathaniel's voice pulled her back. You okay? She blinked rapidly and forced a small smile and said to him, Yeah, just got lost in thought. Nathaniel studied her for a moment before nodding. All right, just making sure. Elena knew she needed time to process this, to figure out what it meant. But one thing was clear. She wasn't going to run from the past. Not this time. That evening, as Elena sat on her bed, her mind kept replaying the revelation. Nathaniel was Maddie's brother. The Maddie who had made her high school years unbearable. The Maddie she had tried to forget. She needed to talk to someone. Without hesitation, she dialed Maya's number. It rang twice before Maya picked up. Elena. Girl, I was just about to text you. How's summer treating you? Elena hesitated, then sighed. Maya, I need to talk to you about something. Maya immediately picked up on the shift in her tone. Okay, what happened? Elena took a deep breath. I met someone. Nathaniel. He's incredible, Maya. We've been spending a lot of time together. I think I like him. Maya squealed. Oh my gosh, Elena, that's amazing. Elena swallowed. There's just one thing. Maya's excitement quieted. What is it? Elena exhaled. I just found out. Nathaniel is Maddie's brother. Silence. Then Maya let out a slow, incredulous breath. Wait, Maddie, as in your high school tormentor? Yeah, Elena murmured. Maya groaned. You've got to be kidding me. That's like fate playing a sick joke. What did Nathaniel say when he found out? He doesn't know the full extent of it yet, Elena admitted. I don't even know if Maddie remembers me, but I remember her. And I don't know how to feel about this. I might just avoid him. Maya was quiet for a moment before saying, Elena, I know this is a lot, but think about it. Nathaniel isn't Maddie. He's his own person. The question is, do you trust him enough to handle whatever comes next? Elena leaned back against her pillows, considering. I do. He's been nothing but kind and respectful. It's just weird, you know? Of course it is, Maya said. But let's be real. Maddie doesn't define your present. You do. You're not that insecure girl from high school anymore, and no matter what Maddie says or does, she can't change that. Elena smiled, warmth spreading in her chest. You're right, Maddie is just someone from my past, and that's where she'll stay. Maya chuckled. Exactly. Now tell me, what does Nathaniel look like? Don't leave out any details. Elena laughed, a playful glint in her eyes. I'll leave that for when you meet him. He's going to be in the US for a long time, so once you're back at school, you'll see him for yourself. Maya groaned dramatically. Ah, you're such a tease. They both burst into laughter, the light-hearted energy lifting the weight that had been lingering on Elena's heart. They spent the rest of the call chatting and joking, their conversation flowing effortlessly. Elena felt truly at ease. And as she lay back on her bed, smiling at the ceiling. And for the first time since learning the truth, she realized something. This wasn't Maddie's story. It was hers. The next morning, as Elena wrapped up a tour, her phone buzzed with a message from Nathaniel. Maddie's coming to town for the weekend. Can't wait for you to meet her. Elena stared at the message, her heart thudding. She had spent the night processing everything, reminding herself that she wasn't the same timid girl Maddie had once bullied. She had changed, she had grown, and she refused to let Maddie make her feel small again. Still, knowing she'd have to face her brought back memories she would rather leave in the past. But she had no choice. If she wanted to be with Nathaniel, she had to confront this part of her life head on. That afternoon, Nathaniel invited her to meet him at a cafe downtown. She arrived first, choosing a small table near the window, taking deep breaths to steady herself. Elena was dressed in an elegant, yet effortless ensemble. An emerald green wrap dress that complemented her complexion, cinching at the waist to highlight her graceful figure. Her once unruly brown curls were now styled into soft waves that framed her face, and the light from the cafe's hanging bulbs caught the subtle golden hues in her hair. She had swapped her high school glasses for sleek, modern frames, though today she wore contacts, letting her striking hazel eyes take center stage. A touch of makeup enhanced her natural beauty, a hint of blush, soft nude lipstick, and mascara that made her eyes appear even more expressive. She looked poised, confident, and undeniably radiant, nothing like the timid girl Maddie had once tormented. The bell above the door chimed, and she looked up to see Nathaniel walking in with someone beside him. Maddie Sinclair. Her heart clenched for a split second, but outwardly she remained composed. Maddie hadn't changed much, same sleek blonde hair, same confident strut. But Elena wasn't the same girl she had tormented years ago. This time, she wouldn't be caught off guard. "Elena!" Nathaniel grinned, oblivious to the tension brewing in the air. "I want you to meet my sister, Maddie." Maddie's blue eyes landed on her, scanning her face. A flicker of something, recognition, shock, crossed her features before she masked it with a polite smile. "Elena, you look so familiar." Elena met her gaze evenly. "We went to the same high school in the UK. Maddie's eyebrows lifted slightly, and then she let out a small laugh. "Oh wow, small world." Nathaniel beamed. "Crazy, right?" Maddie tilted her head, still looking at Elena. "I barely remember much from high school, but you've certainly changed. I mean, you used to be so quiet." There it was, a subtle dig wrapped in casual conversation. Elena smiled, unfazed. "Yes, I was, but growth is a beautiful thing, isn't it?" Nathaniel, completely unaware of the subtext, chuckled. "She's incredible, isn't she?" Maddie smiled, but Elena saw the slight tension in her expression. For the first time, Maddie wasn't the one in control of the moment. Elena sipped her coffee, feeling something she never thought she would feel in front of Maddie Sinclair. Power. She wasn't a scared high school girl anymore. She was a woman who had built herself from the inside out, and she was ready for whatever came next. Maddie leaned back in her chair, stirring her iced latte lazily, her eyes never leaving Elena. "So what have you been up to since high school? You said you moved to the US?" Elena met her gaze with an easy smile. "Yes, I did. I got into college here, and I've been loving it. I also work as a tour guide during summer breaks." That's how I met Nathaniel. Nathaniel, ever the proud boyfriend, beamed. "She's amazing at it. I swear she knows more about this city than I do." Maddie hummed, tilting her head slightly. "That's interesting. I can't believe we went to the same school. I don't really remember much from back then." Elena had expected this. Maddie wouldn't outright acknowledge their past. It was her way of controlling the narrative. But Elena wouldn't give her that satisfaction. "That's understandable," Elena said smoothly. "High school was a long time ago. People change." Maddie's lips twitched, as if trying to figure out Elena's angle. Nathaniel, oblivious to the exchange, glanced at his watch. "Hey, how about we take a walk? The weather's nice, and I'd love to show you that park I mentioned, Elena." "That sounds great," Elena said with a smile. As they strolled through the tree-lined pathways, the late afternoon sun casting golden light over them, Nathaniel slipped his hand into hers. "So, you and Maddie went to school together? That's crazy, huh?" Elena hesitated for a moment before deciding to be honest. "It is. But to be fair, we weren't exactly friends." Nathaniel glanced at her, his brows furrowing. "Oh?" She took a deep breath. "Back then, I was a lot different. Shy, quiet. Maddie was, well, she and her friends didn't make high school easy for me." Nathaniel stopped walking. Wait, are you saying Maddie bullied you? Elena looked at him, keeping her tone even. She did, but that was years ago. I'm not holding on to it, I just think you should know. He ran a hand through his hair, his expression shifting from disbelief to concern. I had no idea. Maddie can be intense, but I never thought she was that kind of person. Elena gave him a small smile. Like I said, high school was a long time ago. I don't need an apology or anything. I've moved past it. Nathaniel studied her, admiration flickering in his eyes. You're really something, you know that? I would have been furious if I were you. Elena squeezed his hand. I was for a long time, but anger only gives power to the past. I've worked too hard to become the person I am today. I won't let old wounds dictate my happiness. Nathaniel pulled her into a warm embrace, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. You're incredible, Elena, and I'm on your side, always. Elena felt the last remnants of tension leave her. This was her story now, not Maddie's, not the past's, hers, and she was ready to keep writing it. The next afternoon, Elena and Nathaniel ran into Maddie again at a local bookstore. She was leaning against a bookshelf, scrolling through her phone when she looked up and spotted them. Her lips curled into a smirk as she approached. Elena, Maddie drawled, pretending to be delighted. Twice in 2 days? What are the odds? Elena remained calm, her confidence unwavering. Small world, I suppose. Maddie's gaze flickered between them before settling on Nathaniel. So you're really dating my brother, huh? That's surprising. Nathaniel, frowning, replied her. And why is that? Maddie shrugged, feigning innocence. Oh, nothing. It's just funny how things turn out. People like Elena used to... Enough, Maddie? Nathaniel interrupted, his voice firm. I know what you're trying to do, and it's not gonna work. Elena is amazing, and if you can't be respectful, then don't speak at all. Maddie blinked, clearly not used to her brother taking someone else's side over hers. I was just making conversation, no need to be dramatic, Maddie said, rolling her eyes. Elena met Maddie's gaze head-on. Nathaniel's right. We both know what this is, but I'm not the same girl you used to bully. If you have something to say it outright. Otherwise, don't waste my time. Maddie scoffed, but for the first time she seemed at a loss for words. She hadn't expected Elena to be this direct, nor had she counted on Nathaniel shutting her down. Nathaniel took Elena's hand. Come on, let's go, we have better things to do. As they walked away, Elena felt lighter. Maddie no longer had power over her. She had faced her past and stood tall, and with Nathaniel by her side, she knew she was exactly where it's meant to be. That weekend was the last before the end of summer break, and Nathaniel had planned something special, a getaway. Just the two of them. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden light through the trees, Elena and Nathaniel strolled along the edge of a peaceful forest trail. The warm glow of dusk wrapped around them, painting everything in soft amber hues. It felt as though time had slowed, leaving them in a quiet, untouched moment, free from the distractions of everyday life. The day had been spent exploring a charming little town, wandering through cobbled streets, admiring historic buildings, and indulging in local delicacies. But now, away from the town's gentle bustle, it was just the two of them, walking in sync. Every now and then, their hands brushed, each touch a silent question neither had yet answered. Nathaniel exhaled deeply, glancing at Elena with an expression of sincerity. I want to officially apologize. I'm sorry for Maddie's behavior. For everything she put you through in high school and even now, she had no right to treat you that way. Elena gave a small nod, her confidence unwavering. Thank you, Nathaniel, I appreciate that. But like I said the other time, I moved past that version of myself a long time ago. I won't let Maddie or anyone else define me. Nathaniel smiled, admiration clear in his eyes. I know. That's one of the things I love about you. You're strong, confident, and you know exactly who you are. I respect that so much and will want to be a part of your life. Elena met his gaze, intrigued. Nathaniel, what are you trying to say? Nathaniel stopped walking, turning to fully face her. He reached for her hands, his touch steady and warm. Elena, I've never met anyone like you. You challenge me, you inspire me, and you make me want to be better. And I don't want to just assume where we stand. I respect you too much for that. He took a deep breath before continuing. So I'm asking, properly, will you allow me to be the person standing beside you, supporting you and growing with you? Will you be my girlfriend? Elena's heart swelled at the sincerity in his words. She had always been sure of herself, but hearing him ask her directly with such respect and care made her feel truly valued. A slow smile spread across her lips. Oh, Nathy, I'd be lying if I said you haven't made my life better in so many ways. So yes, I'll be your girlfriend. Nathaniel's face lit up with joy, and without hesitation, he pulled her into his arms. His lips met hers in a kiss that was soft and full of promise, a kiss that sealed their newfound bond. As they stood there, wrapped in each other's embrace, Elena felt a sense of peace. She wasn't just someone who had survived her past. She was someone who had thrived, who had learned to grow, and now she had someone by her side to face the future with. The past no longer had control over her. She had embraced who she was and where she was going. And with Nathaniel, she knew she was finally ready for the next chapter of her life. Their love was not the fairy tale kind. It was built on respect, understanding, and growth. And that, more than anything, made it real. Vocabulary building. Let's learn some words from these story. Poise. Graceful and elegant bearing in a person, composure under pressure. Example, she stood with quiet poise, unshaken by the weight of the past. Serendipity. The occurrence of events by chance in a happy or beneficial way. Example, meeting Nathaniel felt like serendipity, an unexpected twist that made sense in the grand scheme of things. Ineffable. Too great or extreme to be expressed in words. Example, the feeling that washed over her was ineffable, a mixture of relief, joy, and something she couldn't quite name. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Take care, and see you in the next story.